Hi, this is Allison with today's top pick. It's an incredible one. Facing the Mountain, a true story of Japanese American heroes in World War II. It's written by Daniel James Brown, who wrote the bestseller, The Boys in the Boat, which I'm sure many of you have read. This book goes along with our book to action theme of Japanese Americans who were put in American internment camps during World War II. This book takes place on two fronts, so to say. One is the home front, where most Japanese Americans were put in internment camps. And then the other front is where they created, after they were losing men left and right in the war, they needed more soldiers, and so they decided to allow Japanese American men to enlist in the army, and they created several battalions that were strictly Japanese but led by white Americans. And these battalions have gone down in history as the most decorated battalions in history. So it tells the two stories of the home front and the war front. And it also tells about the two types of Japanese Americans who were on the battlefront, which I had not known about. There were Hawaiian Japanese Americans, and then the mainland Japanese Americans. And the Hawaiians didn't understand about how serious, they couldn't understand why the mainland Japanese American soldiers were so serious and somber, because in Hawaii there were no internment camps. So these guys were really, partiers, and they were always having fun. Uh, just, didn't get it until finally a Japanese American chaplain suggested that they visit a nearby internment camp. They were shocked, and they understood it from then on. At the camps, the internment camps in the US, the breakdown of Japanese traditions as the younger generation became less respectful of their elders really started to break down that society. Parents were confused and they were humiliated by their situation. On the war front, the 100th Battalion was the first Japanese American battalion to go to war, and they were extremely brave. They were incorporated into the very famous 442nd Battalion, but kept their name due to their extraordinary valor. The 522nd Field Artillery Battalion also was all Japanese American. The author makes clear the absolute horror that these men went through, that all men went through during World War II. And he does a really great job of keeping track of the men he's written about throughout the book. A terrible, incompetent American general gets hundreds of these men killed through insane orders. In Italy, they had to scale a mountain to rout some Germans who had some Texans cornered. They had to scale this mountain that was so steep that many of them fell off the mountain. Not one of them made a sound to give away what they were doing to the Germans. Absolute valor and bravery. The people he writes about are the embodiment of the American spirit, as well as Japanese codes of honor. If you want to read about true Americans and Japanese Americans who went above and beyond, this is your book. And it's so well written. So I highly recommend this.